Second thing, because of your job requirements, you will most probably be aware of all the compliance requirements as well. Like, for example, in case of Qatar, you will know the NIA, actually, National Information Assurance. If you are in Saudi, you know the NCA. If you are in UAE, you know their standards as well. And similarly, then the global standards as well, like GDPR, like NIST compliance. So that's why, because you know the gap, you know the difference, you know the urge, basically. I feel that cybersecurity professionals, the existing one, they are the most suited for innovation. This is the first thing. Second thing, if we teach this thing in the university as well, what is ideation, what is innovation, actually. So rather than they are actually doing final year projects without having any visibility into the market, actually, if they start ideation and innovation quite before, they will also be like, there will be hundreds of companies that will be coming out of this ecosystem. So the second point is basically cybersecurity professionals, whether they are in an industry, whether they are students, whether they are graduate students, they are the most important asset in terms of innovation. That's my second point. The third point, I want to focus on the region as well. So GCC nations, especially, they are heavily promoting the local deep tech solutions. And we know all the tariff wars and whatever is going on. And in terms of cybersecurity, every nation wants to have the indigenous capability as well. That's why you will see GDPR, for example, coming from Europe, right? And then a similar data classification standard from from multiple GCC nations, from Saudi Arabia, from UAE, from Qatar, basically. So my point here is that there is a local need as well for innovation, okay? And if you see the rapid digitalization across energy, finance, healthcare, and smart cities, so that's why cybersecurity has a critical need. And then there is a wide urge of technology change as well, like quantum, for example, or for example, from artificial intelligence. So definitely there is a huge market in terms of game-changing startups. I just want to say that how actually the GCC startups can adapt.
Welcome to Global Information Security Society for Professionals of Pakistan.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shahzad. Thank you all the participants. It is a pleasure for me to talk at this forum again. And I'm very thankful to all the Gispp people who are actually running this initiative, especially Mr. Shahzad Subhani, who actually taken time out. I know this is very difficult over the weekends, actually, but he took some time, and this is really pleasure to talk at this forum again. Today, we are talking about a very pressing issue of cybersecurity, which is ideation and innovation. Myself, I'm a PhD in cybersecurity, as well as I'm a tenured professor of cybersecurity. And now currently, since 4 years, I'm Chief Technology Officer of Cytomate, a Doha-based company, have their own cybersecurity solutions, actually. So what is the key objective of this talk that we will be talking today? First of all, we will be negating one thing today, that just writing research papers or not working on realistic problems, actually, this is a lot of pain in cybersecurity, because the students are coming with their ideas, with their final year projects, with their graduate thesis, actually, but when they come to the industry, they have no idea what are the challenges that industry is facing. And the reason is basically that all of their studies are not focused on how to find problems and then how to turn those problems into products, actually. So this is a major gap that I'm highlighting today. Why I am highlighting? Why? Because I was part of the university, And now I am part of a very successful cybersecurity company as well. So that's why basically I find myself really compelling to tell all the people that how to find problems and how to turn those problems into products. Similarly, today I will also be talking about some scientific ideation frameworks as well. So there are some frameworks already that are existing that we can use to discover and structure proven techniques to generate innovative solutions actually. And I'm going to describe you all these things with the help of an example. I don't think so that this type of seminar exists anywhere in terms of cybersecurity. So maybe in terms of business studies, they have given it, but not in terms of cybersecurity. So I feel that this was really, really needed for the cybersecurity community. The third thing is that you are becoming an engineer of cybersecurity. Now, how to take that initial point from an engineer to entrepreneur? So how can you actually shift the mindset and have a practical roadmap for any of the pain point that you came across in your journey towards an engineer? So who am I actually? As I just described, I'm a tenured professor of cybersecurity, currently co-founder of Cytomate, and it's a leading cybersecurity company. I just want to tell that, like during my academic time as well, I was more focused on innovation actually. So I was trying to look at the startups, what are their potential ideas, not like research papers actually. So how we actually write a new research paper, how come actually? So what we do is that we actually see the future work of the research paper, and then actually we get a new idea out of it, and that's why actually we write it. And very less chances are that we focus the whole thing from a different perspective actually. So this is the thing that we are now going to learn today, that how can we focus more on the practical side. The product ecosystem, I just wanted to tell you that what Cytomate product ecosystem is. We have a breach and attack simulation system. It is a very advanced system for testing the security controls. So it is way advanced than penetration testing and red teaming, because you are challenging the security controls based on the MITRE ATT&CK framework. So this is a very important, very critical, and very advanced concept in cybersecurity. We also have a product on cyber deception, Sarab. It is also competing with the market leaders like Ativo, like Elkelvio, like TrapX. So we have our own appliance, and it is called Sarab. Rasid is an external attack surface management system, and BattleTwin is a very unique product actually that is our patent as well in the US Patent Office. It is to test the OT security controls without disrupting the production. So one pain point in the OT environment, in the operational technology, in the SCADA systems, that you cannot touch the production while you want to do the penetration testing. So mostly the penetration testings are checklist based. Okay, we all know this thing. So how to solve that problem? BattleTwin is the answer to that, and that is a very unique concept, and we have submitted a patent for that. I just wanted to give you a high level idea what Cytomate is all about, what is the product ecosystem, and you can see basically that these products are competing with international vendors actually. So how we came up with this idea, today I'm going to tell you all the foundations of those things. First of all, the part one that I'm going to talk about is that why ideation and innovation in cybersecurity. So first of all, why we choose the domain of cybersecurity. The second thing that I will be talking about is that why cybersecurity professionals. So the people who are engineers, who are students, who are actually graduate students, why they are the main focal point of having ideation and innovation in cybersecurity. So rather than, and you can see this picture as well, that you will have a list of people, for example, cybersecurity, right? You advertise a job and you will have so many resumes. But if you want to start a business, there's nobody actually who can come basically, right? Uh, Guys, if you can kindly don't have these lines on the screen, actually, I think this is allowed. So if you can kindly don't do it, actually, okay? So the point here is that now what I'm describing is that uh, first of all, why the cybersecurity domain? So this is the answer of that. First of all, cybersecurity is an evergreen market. Okay, I won't tell you. I mean, very simple. You can see now quantum is coming, right? All RSA algorithms, everything that we were using for the past 30 to 40 years, basically in industry, they will gone, right? You will have quantum threats. You will have so much power of computation, basically. So that's why it is called evergreen market. That's number one reason, right? So there is always massive risk, massive funding, and massive opportunity. That's the most important thing for cybersecurity. That's why cybersecurity is a deep tech frontier. If you want to do something in cybersecurity, if you want to do some innovation in that, so cybersecurity is among the top fields in deep tech. That's actually my first point, which I want to make. The second thing is that cybersecurity professionals, why they are suited for innovation. So there is multiple reasons. First of all, I'll give you the very lame reason or a reason actually that everybody will explain. For example, from the industry. So if you are cybersecurity professional for a SOC, for of an offensive cybersecurity company, or for auditing, actually, you will notice this thing that companies are coming, okay, and they are presenting their solutions to you. So it's a normal thing that you will always be having presentations from external companies and they will be coming and presenting their solutions to you. So you will learn firsthand actually that how they pick up the problem and how they solved it. Second thing, because of your job requirements, you will most probably be aware of all the compliance requirements as well. Like, for example, in case of Qatar, you will know the NIA, actually, National Information Assurance. If you are in Saudi, you know the NCA. If you are in UAE, you know their standards as well. And similarly, then the global standards as well, like GDPR, like NIST compliance. So that's why, because you know the gap, you know the difference, you know the urge, basically, I feel that cybersecurity professionals, the existing one, they are the most suited for innovation. This is the first thing. Second thing, if we teach this thing in the university as well, what is ideation, what is innovation, actually? So rather than they are actually doing final year projects without having any visibility into the market, actually, if they start ideation and innovation quite before, they will also be like, there will be 100 of companies that will be coming out of this ecosystem. So the second point is basically cybersecurity professionals, whether they are in an industry, whether they are students, whether they are graduate students, they are the most important asset in terms of innovation. That's my second point. The third point, I want to focus on the region as well. So GCC nations, especially, they are heavily promoting the local deep tech solutions. And we know all the tariff wars and whatever is going on. And in terms of cybersecurity, every nation wants to have the indigenous capability as well. That's why you will see GDPR, for example, coming from Europe, right? And then a similar data classification standard from from multiple GCC nations, from Saudi Arabia, from UAE, from Qatar, basically. So my point here is that there is a local need as well for innovation, okay? And if you see the rapid digitalization across energy, finance, healthcare, and smart cities, so that's why cybersecurity has a critical need. And then there is a wide urge of technology change as well, like quantum, for example, or for example, from artificial intelligence. So definitely there is a huge market in terms of game-changing startups. I just want to say that how actually the GCC startups can adapt the lessons. So what they can do is I'll be teaching, or I will be having few slides on that as well, like what scientific methods can be applied to have just small changes in the other companies' ideas, and you can have your own startups as well for next generation ideas, and still they will be unique as well. And so today I'm going to actually brief about that. This is section number one, or part number one. So in part number one, we studied three things basically. Why cybersecurity we should be focusing, because this is evergreen. The second point is that why cybersecurity professionals, whether they are students or whether they are professionals, they are the most suitable people for having their own ideas, or they can guide other people as well to have an investment, for example, to have their own startups. And the third thing is that this GCC region is also very green in terms of having game-changing startups. Now, now in this thing, basically, I will be now focusing on part two, which is ideation and innovation, and what is the difference between them. So now I'm going into a bit theoretical details. So I will be defining some terms actually. I will be, for example, having a term of ideation. What is ideation? Then I will also be having a term of innovation as well. So I have this ideation and innovation as a separate two ideas. The first one is like how to generate ideas, and the second one is about how to execute them actually. And then we have some scientific methods as well, which are going to tell us that how to do ideation and how innovation. In terms of university, I feel that ideation is a complete course at the very early stages of cybersecurity degrees, and then innovation is more about execution actually, how you will execute them. So student can be taught about ideation as well as innovation in two separate streams, and you will see basically that they will have a full capability to understand how to develop an idea, because mashallah our students are very, very intelligent, and how to do innovation or how to do execution based on that. So I'm now starting with ideation. There are few terms actually that we should know. Ideation is actually the creative process of generating, developing, and communicating new ideas to solve cybersecurity challenges. Okay. How to do this ideation? There are multiple aspects that I'll be talking about. For example, you can just study the companies. Just study the companies actually. You can have the companies who are, for example, doing business in 2023, in 2024, in 2025, and then in all the latest companies as well. So at least you will develop a sense of new developments that are going on in the cybersecurity market. For example, we all know the advent of ChatGPT, how much this was disrupting actually for all the fields actually. You start from medical, you go to construction, you go to aviation, you go to anything basically. This Gen AI revolution has disrupted each and everything in all verticals actually. So cybersecurity is no more something that will not be impacted by the Gen AI revolution basically. So you study the companies. This is the main aspect of ideation, how you study the companies, how you just broadly see what this company is doing. So you study your cybersecurity courses, you do your job, no problem actually, but you then study the companies as well. You look at their volume and creativity basically, and what they were bringing it on the table. Believe me, if you study 10 companies in detail and you look at their niche, or you look at their innovation or ideation process, you will be able to then have the ideation as well with a structural process that I'm going to describe now. An example ideation I'm giving you, for example, there are many authentication methods or authentication companies are coming, okay, which are giving you this facility. They are going to analyze the mouse activity, they are analyzing the keystroke movement, they are actually analyzing the key touch screen behavior and device movement. Okay, and they have these patterns actually, and they have the AI which is making a record of normal behavior and abnormal behavior basically. So you will see basically that just by looking at the patterns of the human activity, they are devising formulas for authentication, they are devising formulas for anomaly detection. Even in banking applications, the way I'm using my banking application, how I log in, how I go, where I go, first what I do, then what I do, then what I do basically. These are the patterns that a system is noting down. And actually this is just an ideation which is going on. So first of all, somebody gave an idea that why not we analyze the patterns in the human activity, and then they divided them. It's a mouse activity, it's a keystroke activity, it's a touch screen behavior, or it's device movement. And then and this is a new field, actually a full new field that is going beyond biometric actually. So now innovation in cybersecurity is the practical implementation. So first of all, you got an idea. Okay, that's why in Silicon Valley, it is a common saying, and I'm sharing with all of you. It's saying that when you are thinking of an idea, for example, you are thinking of an idea, right? There will be at least 16 other people who will be thinking of the same idea. So when you are thinking of an idea that, oh, if I do this thing, I can make a lot of money, actually, there will be at least 16 people who will also be thinking in the same way about that, actually. Now, the next point is very interesting. It is the execution which makes the real difference, actually. So ideation alone is not sufficient, actually. It is the execution. And what is execution? It is actually the innovation. So whoever is the fastest in executing that. I want to give you a live example. See, OpenAI existed 2018 as well. I was part of a university. We were using their projects. They were having projects, for example, from multiple places. Okay, so they were having, for example, game development AI projects. If you need A3C implementation, you can go on OpenAI. They have a gym as well, and you download, and that's it. Then this guy came, and in 2018 or 2019, Elon Musk left the board of OpenAI. Okay, and then this guy came, Sam Altman. Okay, and then he thought in a different way. Actually, this Gen AI was existing in 2019, 2020. You see, even the large language models were existing, but he came with a value proposition, and that changed the whole game in Gen AI, actually. So he executed the idea of ChatGPT in a way that it will be a super intelligence model solving everyone's problem, actually. That was the key thing, actually, that he came and he was able to prove it. So he was able to execute that thing. Innovation in cybersecurity, not in cybersecurity, I'm talking about AI, but I'm just giving you that innovation is actually the practical step. Once we have defined these methodologies, we will be able to say something concretely. Okay, at which stage you are? I'm at the stage of ideation. Okay, good. What you are doing now, the terminology that I'll be defining more and more as well, you will be able to chalk out your plan exactly. So I'm at the execution stage, I'm at the early innovation stage, or I'm actually now having an execution very deep, for example. So example innovations, I already gave you zero trust architecture, for example. Okay, this is an innovation. Okay, by the way, I mean, whoever is in the domain of access control, they might know about BIBA integrity models as well. Okay, the classical models in which you classify the levels of access as well. So role-based access control, BIBA integrity models, and other models actually which do exist. So you can see there is an innovation actually in zero trust architecture. So I mean, that concept of mandatory access control, which is called MAC, okay, that existed before as well in 2001, in 2002, basically, right? But then zero trust architecture came with an execution plan. So now this is one of the major innovation in cybersecurity. Then you go on the innovation of extended detection and response. So XDR, right? So how it started? We started with antivirus, okay? Then we came across with EDR. Then we have an NDR. Now we have an XDR, okay? So it's a multi-layered extended detection and response, right? So how this innovation happened, actually, you can see that this was driven by the industry. And of course, quantum resistant cryptography, we all know that quantum threat is coming, right? So how cryptography is, especially cryptography, and there are many other fields of the quantum as well, for example, quantum AI, which is going to be impacted as well. So how quantum resistance cryptography is now making place. And I just want to share with all the audience that NIST last year has standardized two algorithms, Kyber, and the lithium, actually, two algorithms, actually. And they are pushing, actually, that to have a quantum resistance cryptography. So there's a huge opportunity in that sense as well. So now types of ideation, I'll be moving a bit fast. So you can have brainstorming, okay? So you talk to someone and then you have a free flow idea generation without judgment. So you don't judge it whether it is unique or not, okay? So for example, what will be a cybersecurity example? New methods for insider threat detection. Okay, we want to know the insider threat. By the way, the example of ideation that I gave for patrons, right, where human patrons are also used for authentication, that is also an insider threat. So for example, your PC, we want to detect that in an organization where 5,000 people are there, they are using their systems, for example, or through mobile apps or through internet as well. They want to know that who is exactly that person. So there is whether an insider or not. So that is also a method for insider threat detection using behavior modeling. Second method is SCAMPER. We will talk about it. What is SCAMPER? So I don't want to touch it now, but I will inshallah going to touch now shortly. What is actually the SCAMPER method? We have user-centered ideation as well. This is the most important ideation. So you always listen to the expert people in the industry, what they are talking about. You listen what Elon Musk is talking about. You listen, for example, what Sam Altman is talking about. They are talking about artificial general intelligence. They are talking about the electricity issues for the AI, actually. So this is something. Or for example, you are a SOC person, right? And you have passed, mashallah, all the levels, SOC level 1, 2, 3. Okay, so you know basically what are the processes, and you know the pain points, actually. And then you devise something, basically something which is really helpful in that domain. So this is called user-centered centered ideation. Then we have trend driven as well. Like for example, as I talk about AI, we cannot just hinder ourselves from the AI or quantum or for IoT. So all these things are also trend driven iteration. Similarly, we can have constraint based ideation as well. This means we have certain budget or certain compliance as well, and we need to fulfill that. So that is more on the constraint based ideation. And one such example, GDPR as well, which actually shifted many companies' focus in managing the user data as well. Types of innovation, disruptive innovation. We already seen, for example, ChatGPT is an example of disruptive innovation. Quantum safe encryption is also a disruptive innovation. Incremental innovation, this means that it is based on the previous one, but they actually have some continuous improvement to the current system. And we also have radical innovation, right? Open innovation, sustaining innovation. So these are all types of innovations actually which led. Radical innovation means that, for example, why not we have a full autonomous AI-led SOC? Why we need always the people for that, okay? Or open innovation, this means, for example, why we always buy very expensive threat feeds from Virus Total or from many other companies, from Mandiant, for example. Why can't we have a global threat intelligence sharing network like Gispp, for example, right? Or we can have some sustaining innovation or adding new features. For example, why can't be a chat bot be part of our products actually, which is helping the companies or the customers to do certain thing basically. So this can also be something very important basically. So you see basically now because when you focus on that, you can actually you can have a better understanding that what is the main thing of innovation. So and then you can define it as well basically, that what is the level of ideation. Is it very high level, or it is disruptive, or it is incremental? So ideas can be tagged based on that as well. Okay, now I want to actually have a summary difference, and then I will be closing this part basically. So now we will have covered two parts. The part one I already covered, and now I'm focusing on part two. The summary difference one is that ideation is the process of generating and expanding ideas. Okay, innovation is the process of executing them actually. Focus more ideation is more on creativity, innovation more on the practical application, building minimum viable products actually, okay, or scaling solution. And ideation more on discovering the cybersecurity challenges, okay, and innovation again is on implementation. Activities, this is very important, and this is the line which we will be actually talking in the next part. Mind mapping, SCAMPER, design thinking, okay, or what is lean startup execution, or PDCA cycles, okay. These are all the scientific methods actually to evaluate an idea, to see basically that how those ideas are actually making sense, okay. So I'll not spend much time here, and I will now go directly to the scientific methods, okay. Before we go to the scientific methods, I have a very funny picture here. This meme was shared with me with one of my very beloved student actually. He actually asked my permission for that, but he said that when you were teaching us the courses, this was the meme which was circulating in all the class actually. Okay, so like from the beginning, because I was uh, trying to provoke the students, okay, so to think out of the box, or to think on new ideas basically, they have this meme for me, okay. So that Masoom was my name actually. So just after my birth, I'm thinking of new research ideas of that actually. So because we are now delving into a bit of theoretical thing, but very interesting, believe me, very interesting. If we understand these methods with the core of our heart actually, then we will be able to think very differently for ideation and innovation in cybersecurity. The first method, design thinking, okay. I'm giving you an example of Radiant Security, okay. What they do basically, only thing, they were looking at all the interfaces that SOC people are looking at. I'm talking about the UI actually, UI UX actually, okay. And they were saying, okay, this company has, for example, the let's say the SOC from Palo Alto, okay, or the SOC of based on Microsoft tool stack, or CrowdStrike, or any other company. They have like a full tool stack. They were analyzing that how their UI UX actually is having a pain point, okay, and they actually, just to reduce the workload, they redesigned all the screens actually. So gave a uh, very good solution for the SOC person. So having not more than one or two clicks actually, the SOC person was able to understand what exactly is the reason of this alert which is coming to it actually. So this is design thinking, okay. You found a problem, okay, and this is very early innovation, because you actually discovered the user pain point. And now you know how to solve it. Basically, you just execute it. You have an early prototype, you validated the MVP, and before scaling you actually wrote it out. So this is an example of radiant security. Then let's talk about the next method, which is called TRIZ. Okay, and the word is actually in Russian, which I cannot pronounce, but the theory of inventive problem solving. Actually, what is that? Let me actually give you by an example. Suppose in cloud environment, if there is an issue, right, the DevSecOps people or the people who are responsible for managing the cloud, they want to fix the issue as soon as possible. Okay, so speed is really important. Why? Because this is cloud, and cloud is accessible from all around the world. You found any problem in Microsoft Exchange, you found a problem because of your firewall, you find a problem in anything basically. So you have to act fast. Now there is another point as well, and which is now the crux of this TRIZ model. And what is that? That is that what are the contradictions? So for example, you actually have the remediation very fast, okay, but whether this is a safe remediation as well or not. The safe remediation means that maybe you do it fast, but you break something else as well, because cloud is a very interconnected environment, right? So how basically you are going to solve it? So this is a contradiction. Now this is something which is slowing down your speed. Now what the company actually I'm talking about, how they solved it, this is called Gomboc. Gomboc, Gomboc is the name of the company. So they came up with a solution that instead of fixing after issues occur, they simulate the fix before applying them. So they simulate the fix just to test whether this will create any issue or not in the production. This is one thing. And the second thing is that they use deterministic AI to predict and learn the outcome before deployment. So AI is helping them. So it's a DevSecOps type of solution, which AI is helping them to understand that if you apply this fix, what other problems can be generated because of this fix. So now they solved it. They have the cloud remediation, and at the same time they have the safe remediation as well. The third method I'm talking about is SCAMPER. SCAMPER is actually is to have the substitute, okay, and then adapt, combine, modify, eliminate. And so what you do basically, I mean, in a nutshell, if I tell you, you take one product, okay, and you substitute any of its component. The example is given. Our company, external attack surface management. What is the purpose of external attack surface management? You gather internet facing assets, okay. We got one step further. What is that? We also provide API level threat intelligence as well to make it more productive. So what we do, according to the SCAMPER method, we adapt the threat intelligence at the API level. This is what we adapt, and we combine in the EASM to have a more API behavior analysis as well. So now there are multiple products in the market. There's a CTM 360, there is Soccer Radar, there is Hounder.io, there are many other players as well. So how can you make an edge on one of the existing products by substituting something actually, or making with the help of AI? Okay, so I just gave you an example that how can you modify, right, your idea or existing idea to modify a piece, and then you substitute and see basically that what kind of novelty is there. Then lean startup, actually, this is, now I have an example over here. Lean startup is not about brainstorming. It is about testing an idea in the market early. What is an example? Filigrane, okay, they have an XTM as an open source platform. Okay, it's a threat intelligence based platform. they first launched to 6,000 community members, just to see basically that whether community is going to accept such an idea of filigrane XTM suite or not as an open source platform. Okay. And because they gathered the feedback and then actually they executed it basically. So they did not spend much time on the ideation state. They brought that thing to the innovation execution directly. They developed the MVP, took the feedback, and then they scaled it actually. So this is called lean startup method. Okay. Now you can see basically design thinking, SCAMPER, TRIZ, lean startup. All of these are actually scientific methods which are focusing on one thing or the other. Similarly, this method, PDCA, basically, PDCA, which is plan, do, check, and act. Now, the difference between lean startup and PDCA method is that the lean startup, you don't develop a product. You just have an MVP. You go to the market, okay, take the feedback, and then develop the product. Here in PDCA, you develop the product, like our platform, which is the cyber deception platform, Sarab, okay. And what we do is that basically we continuously improved our deception-based detection on the attacker behavior feedback actually. So we developed the product first, but then we improved its detection capabilities through the attacker behavior. And in this method, actually, we were able to identify attackers, and we were able to connect this Sarab cyber deception product with a breach and attack simulation. So nobody in the whole world has this thing where they have connected a breach and attack simulation with a cyber deception product. Because we knew this method, we knew PDCA exists actually, we went in this way, okay? Not in the way of lean startup, where I gave you an example of filigrane. They actually launched the MVP and got the feedback from the community. And mind mapping, for example, threat hunting, how to do threat hunting. You can see you can have a threat hunting, and then in the branches of this mind map, you can have threat hunting through logs, through network traffic, through endpoint behavior, through many things basically. So this is actually the crux actually, that how to do mind mapping, and this is very early stage. SWOT analysis we already know, so I'm not going to touch it very deep. So we have four sections actually, where we have strength, we have weaknesses, we have opportunities, and we have threats actually. And we have described it with the help of one of our AI-based algorithm, okay, where we test the web application firewall. It's called SnipeX actually. It's a separate component in our breach and attack simulation, and we use reinforcement learning engine. We now, what is the strength? It's an AI-based, okay. What is the weakness? It is requiring model training time all the time, because WAFs, they are actually they are updating their detection patterns as well, okay. So you have to actually update your reinforcement learning engine. Model training time is the weakness. Opportunity is Web3 platforms, they are on the rise, okay. And threat, so basically faster competitors will also be coming basically, and there are some competitors which are already providing this reinforcement learning, but we had the early advantage, or early in the market advantage. So I described it that. Now this is very important slide, where example scenario, we will be describing it, that which stage it is, for example. So design thinking is ideation, which is early innovation. So if you are having design thinking of some idea, the stage is it is ideation or early innovation. TRIZ is deep ideation. It's no innovation actually, but you are very deep in the idea. You are thinking of all the contradictions. You are thinking of all the challenges as well. Lean startup is late ideation and innovation execution. So we learned about it, like you have an idea, you have an MVP, you go in the market, okay, directly to get the feedback of the user. So this is late ideation and innovation execution. PDCA cycle is innovation scaling actually. So this means ideation has already been done, but we want to scale. So as I gave you the example of the cyber deception platform, we want to scale its threat library so it can have more TTPs or more coverage of the APT groups. Scamper, it's early ideation. Okay, you got one product and then you change something. It's early ideation. Mind mapping is brainstorming, and SWOT analysis is idea validation before innovation. So once you have your idea, you do the SWOT analysis just to see that how much it is feasible for the innovation, which is actually the execution. So I hope these scientific methods will give you a very good way of thinking, basically, that how the ideation, at which stage they should be, how to connect them to innovation, okay, when to execute them. So you will know your level as well, right? You will know exactly at which level your idea is in terms of user pain points and in the context of cybersecurity. So before I start this new section, which is very interesting, I'll give you one company example. It's called Binarly. Okay, it's a firmware security, very good area. Okay, and they have a supply chain attack mitigation issue for firmwares. Okay, and I'm going to give you examples of all these methods. Very interesting, actually, that how you develop a new idea based on the Binarly company. Just give me 1 minute. I take just a sip of water. Okay, so let me start, actually, that how to develop a new idea based on the Binarly company. First of all, we see Binarly, actually. I told you what is Binarly. Binarly is a company which is providing firmware supply chain attacks detection. Okay, uh, it analyzes the third-party libraries as well. Now, how to develop a new idea based on this firmware domain? Okay, I will be applying these methods: design thinking, SCAMPER, PDCA, SWOT, lean startup, and TRIZ, just to finalize the idea. Okay, and I'll show you that in what steps basically I will be performing it. First of all, design thinking. What's the problem? Firmware vulnerabilities, yes, go undetected. Yes, this is true. And post deployment as well. So this means that if you have an update in your firmware, okay, you always have some vulnerabilities as well in the firmware. For example, I'm just giving you an example. Okay, so even after the installation of some IoT device or some system firmware, if you have an update, you need to verify this thing as well. That is post deployment. That's why it is called post deployment state. So now what we need to have a real-time monitoring of the firmware behavior after the updates. So once the updates are applied, we want to monitor the real-time behavior of the firmware as well. What is needed? Continuous real-time firmware vulnerability monitoring even after deployment. So you have deployed all the devices. You have the SCADA systems, you have the IoT devices, or you have even your laptops or PCs as well. Their firmwares as well. You want to monitor them, okay? So now this is the user need. Basically, you came up with this problem, and this is design thinking. How you came up to that? Because you are in this domain. Okay, you are a cybersecurity professional and you came up with this idea. This is a user pain point. In many critical environments, they are not able to evaluate the updated firmware. So this is the pain point, and you identified the gap in existing firmware security solutions. Let's go back. Design thinking. So this is the empathy state. I'm just thinking how actually firmware vulnerabilities go undetected post deployment, not only pre-deployment. So not only that, in the pre-deployment stage, you have an assurance from some company as this firmware is good. For example, you have a certification like common criteria certificate or some certificate which is giving you a compliance as this device or this military equipment is fully tested and there is no vulnerability in their firmware. Okay, but what about the updates? Updates are coming. Every day updates are coming, right? You have to update your Windows system. You have to update your device. You have to update your router. You have to update your switch. What about them actually? Okay, this is a challenge we are trying to solve. First of all, TRIZ method. So contradiction is that firmware must be invisible. This is not contradiction. but they need continuous monitoring. So invisible in the sense that they're very small, okay? They run for a small amount of time, okay? And still you need uh, to actually monitor them. Now that's the problem actually. It's invisible. It's not Windows. It's not Linux operating system. It's firmware. It runs for a very small time. What's the solution? Okay, now just think, because these the contradiction come and you are in deep thinking. You are thinking about some solution very deeply. So first of all, you develop a lightweight deterministic agents in firmware that only activate upon anomaly detection. So this means once you have an update in the firmware, only that lightweight agent will be activated to perform an anomaly detection. Okay, so this allowed us to bridge the gap between the low resource usage and continuous monitoring. So you see how and there could be multiple contradictions as well, by the way, that you will have to resolve one by one by providing them the solution. So TRIZ contradiction solution, basically firmware must be invisible and then it needs continuous monitoring. What is the solution to that? Deterministic agents which are activated only on anomaly. Then SCAMPER method, how it works. So for example, we all know the analysis of malwares, and it has a term static analysis. And then we need to replace it with real-time monitoring, okay? We need to combine it with firmware scanning with threat intelligence feeds, okay? So if there is a threat intel already based on some firmware vulnerability or some threat trying to attack the firmware, we should have that threat intel as well, which should be taken into account for this kind of solution, okay? What about the endpoint detection techniques to firmware layer? So anomaly detection and all that, how can we adapt to that? We need to modify the edge AI for microcontrollers, okay? We will eliminate full scans, focus on the deviations only for anomaly detection, and we will reverse. So instead of checking firmware regularly, we will just monitor the behavior shift. I'm telling you the SCAMPER method, that you take an idea and then you just try to substitute parts of it, okay? And you see basically that which one will be used to make your innovation really look good. And by the way, this it's not innovation, it's idea stretching actually. So SCAMPER is actually the idea stretching. You stretch the idea, you see each and everything in a very big lens, and you see that what you will adapt, what you will modify, where you will do the elimination, where you will have reverse, where you will substitute. So this, and what will you substitute with basically. So, and what you will combine. That's actually the whole purpose of the SCAMPER method. Lean startup MVP plan. Okay, so rather than we build the product and then we have heavy investment, actually we go and we test it. Actually we find some operator, we try to tell them, okay, these are your IoT devices and this is a lightweight firm agent, okay, which is going to monitor for its for updates in the firmware. How can you test it basically? So you test in the lean startup way, rather than you just develop each and everything and then go in the market. This is the best set, that you go in the lean startup way, that you develop an MVP and then you go to the market for the feedback. And this is actually the MVP plan. PDCA cycle, for example, you go for a very small scale. So you embed the agent into pilot devices and then you monitor them for 30 days. I mean, this is the use case that everybody has to see with respect to its own idea. Okay, so it's not that it's always always you have to follow the lean startup or the PDCA. It is actually dependent on the idea to idea actually, and not necessarily. Maybe Binarly company already has this thing. I'm not actually saying that this is a very unique idea and you should start actually, but I'm just telling you that how to stretch an idea, how to do the brainstorming. So this is all the brainstorming methods that one have to do. And this is how you are going to use the PDCA cycle to scale actually. So first you do anomalies of 30 days, and then actually you can have any time. So whenever the firmware is updated, your agent is going to report for any abnormal behavior actually. And then you do the SWOT analysis. This is very common even in our many presentations as well, where we understand the weaknesses, the threats actually, the opportunities, and the strength actually, and we actually analyze our idea based on that. Mind mapping as well. So we make mind maps. I mean, this is to exploration stage where we actually see all the possible paths as well. And that's why this is very early ideation stage as well. Now, what is the final cybersecurity solution that we came up? First one, real-time firmware behavior anomaly detection agent. Okay, good. What are the features? It's embedded, it's lightweight AI agent, post-deployment monitoring. Target is ICS, IoT, and critical devices. And business model is subscription-based with intelligence updates. So practical solution to extend Binarly plus vision to continuous protection post-deployment actually. So after having all these methods apply, we came up with an idea that we think, inshallah, can be developed, and it is actually going to take from ideation to innovation. And this is the company actually. I mean, we just created Binarly Plus, and this is a subscription-based company, and this is how we developed an idea. So I actually went through all the scientific methods that I explained it to you, and I gave it to you. Now, just few last slides before actually I end this presentation. And I just want to tell you basically that that's why I said that the academic world has to wake up. Okay, they have to understand that just providing research papers is not enough. Okay, and their students, their professionals, their teachers, their postgraduate students, and industry professionals can come up with really brilliant ideas as well. So rather than only Dr. Masoom, who came from the university, and many other PhD doctors as well, who are actually developing their own companies as well, it is best actually that if this revolution goes to students as well. How to validate the idea? So I actually used Grok, okay? And Grok told me that there is already a research which is being made. This was the research, post-deployment anomaly detection and diagnosis in network embedded systems, okay? This is called D2, basically. So this is a paper which is already existing. So now you see that first you actually, and then you went to the industry. So you can see, for example, from hypothesis to horizon, which means a new research paradigm. First, you post-mortem the existing products, okay? You get their features, okay? Then you publication scan. So it's not that actually in the academic world, how we are actually scanning the publications for new ideas and doing other publications. It's not like that. You first look at the products actually. Why? Because quantum, cybersecurity, AI, they are industry-driven fields. They are not academic-driven, actually, because a huge amount of financial interest is involved. That's why they are industry-driven. So you have to focus what industry is actually asking or what they are compelling with. You will do the postmortem. You will do the feature analysis. Then you should do the publication scan. If your publication scan tells you that this thing has never been done, okay, so there is IP opportunity as well. So you got an opportunity for having intellectual property if no match. This means nobody has done even a publication as well. And if a match is found, at least you validate the idea. So this is I called Masoom's innovation funnel equation. Okay, this is how actually publication scan should be done, like from the product, features, and then the publication scan. So in a nutshell, now I'm talking about the conclusion of this talk, okay? Pain points are very important. So you listen to the people, you listen to each and every pain point in cybersecurity. Each pain point is an opportunity, okay? Now, for example, you see the Gen AI. So what is the opportunity? The electricity. So what is now coming up? Agentic AI is coming. Very small models that are connected to each other. Okay. Then, for example, there is an opportunity how to monitor those models. Okay. Then you have frameworks as well. By the way, we also have launched a framework. It's called Internet of Models. how you are going to launch them. Okay, new technologies as well. So you have to keep your eyes open for new technologies, especially the Gen AI in their application in many areas. High cost is also something that actually can bring new ideas as well. As I told you, I mean, not every company can support big data centers like Grok or even DeepSeek or ChatGPT, basically. So how you can have small models, okay? Local regional factors as well. So you can have some companies which are doing the same thing in one part of the world, but you have it locally as well. So this is also something that can be done. Computational efficiency, technology limits and opportunities, scalability needs as well. Okay, so you can actually bring your idea on cloud as well for wider access. Okay, and there are many companies of this example. For example, Viz is one of the company. Okay, last year they were offered $23 billion from Google and they refused that offer. Okay, so you can read about Viz as well, how they are doing and what their business model and each and everything. I hope that will also be interesting. I'll not stretch the talk much. I think I've taken much time over here. This is the contact. I'm the Chief Technology Officer of Cytomate, looking at all the R&D, research and development and innovation as well. So if you have, and I'm here in Qatar, if you have anything, if you need any help in your ideation, in innovation, in some of the stage, I'm a teacher as well. So inshallah, provided the time allows, I'll be available for answering your queries. So email is also given. And there, Shehzad Sahab, I'll be now closing my talk and I'll be open for questions. I hope the talk was not boring.